Hello YouTubers, this is my homemade cooling system in use. It cools the beer festival beers down without me having to intervene in any way. I literally hook it up and let it do its thing for a week and then take it down again. There's no need to cool the barrels with water or Hessian sacks or anything like that. So it really helps automate the whole cooling process with no intervention from me or the staff. There's 3 points to note. The first is the pump, the second is the heat exchanger, in this case the freezer, and the third is the plumbing. The first is that pump. Let's get on with that. When choosing a pump, I'm needed to consider a few things. The first is it needs to be on 24/7. The second is it needs at least a meter of head height. That's from the base of the tank to the highest point, which is the top of the barrels. In this case it's about a meter, so a couple of meters is ample. So what pump does all that? Well, pond pump, in this case a Helier immersible pump, model HX6830. I've been running this for 3 years now, and I've not had one problem with it. Ample power, nice and quiet, no hiccups at all. The only modification I did to it was to install this adapter. It's a clip-on adapter for garden hoses, and I had to use an awful lot of mastic here and a hose clip to mount it to this thing. But like I say, that was 3 years ago, and it's perfect. How do you mount the hose onto it? Well, I'm going to balance that there. The end of the hose is here. I'll go to the hose specifics in a minute, but the adapter just literally clips on. And that's it, ready to go. And that's the output. And that's very cold. So that's the pump working. So after the pump was chosen, the next thing to sort out was the heat exchanger. I was going to do some calculations using BTUs to decide whether I was going to go with a freezer or a fridge, but the sheer practicality of a top-loading freezer made that redundant, really. The only modification really for this was to install a tank inside. In this case this is a bin, which I just cut the top off. I have had water directly in the freezer against the aluminium, and it works, but for my own peace of mind I wanted something like this, just to ensure there's no leaks getting into anything in the freezer. Controlling the temperature is quite straightforward. The freezer has a thermostat, and sometimes if the day is cold, I turn the whole thing off, pump and freezer, and the beer stays pretty cool. So that's the heat exchanger. The third thing is the plumbing. Right, let's show you how the barrel is typically plumbed up. As you can see from the side, 1, 2, 3 loops of the hose is sufficient. I have had 2, I've had 4, doesn't make any difference. 3 is a good average. Anything to keep in mind is it must have good contact with the barrel, so bungee cords takes care of that. The size of the hose, I went for ordinary garden hose size. It just makes things so practical, so easy for getting adapters and sourcing bits and pieces. I cut the hose into approximately 3 meter lengths so that I can plumb each barrel individually. Otherwise you have one very long hose, and wrapping the hose around each barrel will be very problematic. So having 3 or 4 meter lengths, we just do one barrel, maybe 2 at a time, and plumb them together using those garden hose fittings. So really it's the system in its entirety. There's 3 things to keep in mind. Like I say, you need a decent pump with a couple of meters of headroom and the ability to run 24/7. A pond pump will do it. Heat exchanger, in this case a top-loading freezer, preferably with a second tank, just for peace of mind, and garden size hose just to make it easy to plumb these things together. The only other things to keep in mind, safety. This is all undercover, but even so I still have a wet box there, the electrics inside it, and various fuses and trip switches downstairs. I have insulation. I don't need it, but I have it, so I might as well use it. And that's pretty much it. With all that in place, I have had 10 barrels off that one pump and one freezer being cooled during the height of summer, and it does work, works very well. So that's it up and running. We cover the freezer, we don't cover the back of it, that needs to be exposed so the heat can escape, but we do cover the front and the top. That's it up and running. I hope this encourages you guys to give this a go yourself. Like I say, it's not difficult. So until next time, bye for now.